Today's sponsor of the Vision Quest podcast is 920 Hat Company. Leather patch hats are in, and 920 Hat Company is here to hook you up with your very own custom hat. All patches are lasered on top-grade genuine leather and on popular brand hats like Richardson and FlexFit. Whether you're looking to show off your business or want a one-of-a-kind hat for yourself, 920 Hat Company can do it all. All the hats are handcrafted right in the Fox Valley, but worn across America. With over 500 hats in stock, they guarantee fast turnaround times. Honestly, Liam, looking at these hats, solid, right?
Yeah, they're pretty. I like them.
I like that patch itself.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, one-of-a-kind stuff. I know his name's Trevor. He does great work. He's actually gotten I think we got a knit hat coming.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, we got that coming. So we're really excited to have these guys on board as a sponsor. So get down to check them out on Facebook. I believe they're on Instagram. Check them out, man. They got the best hats, I think, in the Fox Valley, if not in the state.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So get down to 920 Hat Company on social media and check them out. All right, everybody. We're back. We have another great episode. We have, I would say, I'm surprised at the size that I say wrestling, and I don't pay attention to all the little things like that. I just pay attention to how you guys wrestle, really. So I was just sitting down here with Max Askren of Askren Wrestling Academy, and I was admiring that, number one, he wrestled at a larger size. I didn't realize that. I think that's awesome. That's sweet.
Well, I mean, I guess I always thought I was going to be bigger,
Yeah.
I was big enough, I guess, but
yeah.
I wrestled underweight probably from sophomore year in high school on.
Yep.
I think after practice, I made 160.
Okay.
And went to the bi-state and wrestled 171 though.
All right.
And the next year I weighed 182, wrestled 189.
Hopefully that, I mean, do you feel that benefited you when you, as you progressed with wrestling?
I don't know. I mean, I just kind of always enjoyed going after the challenge.
Okay.
So there were certain guys that was like, hey, I kind of want to wrestle that guy. And so
right on.
I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go for it, and then later on too, it was like, all right, well, I was going to Missouri. 84 was probably my ideal weight.
Yep.
And I really didn't think about it at the time.
Yeah.
But we had Ben at 74, we had Raymond Jordan at 84.
Oh yeah.
And so if I was going to wrestle at the University of Missouri, 97 was logical progression, But I mean,
right.
Shoot, I had it's like I wear a 10 and a half now.
Yeah.
10 and a half, like an Adidas, but I think I had 11 and a half at that time. So I was like, I'm getting bigger and I'm growing. But then I stopped growing and I have a bunch of shoes that are 11 and a half. So
it's weird. And I think I have a couple pairs that were like work boots, I think, but I had the same thing where I'm shrinking. Now I'm getting smaller as I get older. So when you started wrestling, obviously we know you have a brother in wrestling, and I think you said your dad wrestled and kind of had this, he wrestled, maybe not have been great, but he wrestled.
Yeah.
But what age did you start at? When did you first step onto a mat? Was it 5, like a lot of guys? No? It might have
been before then.
Oh, okay, sure. Sure. Yeah.
But again, when I say it might have been before then, I mean, I was in the room because Ben was in the room.
Yeah.
And my dad was trying to, my dad, it's really was involved in our sports and our extracurriculars. I think that was one thing that he really, really, made sure of. He coached baseball teams, football teams.
Nice.
I don't think he coached any soccer teams, but he was always around in wrestling. And I don't really remember him coaching a whole lot. But
Okay.
I just remember him there. I just remember him involved. I think he was him and my mom were the presidents of the Arrowhead, the Hawks Wrestling Club.
Okay. Yeah.
For however long when he was a youth kid. I mean, so my parents were very involved in the community.
They're give backers, man.
Yeah. Well, it's but I mean, so I think, it's because of that, I was in the room, even though I was probably just causing tons of trouble and running around. And I remember hiding in there was a back area where they used to store the mats. And I remember crawling in there with other kids and chucking balls. And
yeah.
But I mean, it's and at some point then I was just on the mat, and so I don't know if it was somebody was out a partner and get me in or what it was, but yeah, so I mean, so
I can relate. Now, I didn't have a brother that was an Olympian or even won an NCAA championship, not even a high school championship. I don't even know if he won a youth championship.
All right.
But I was the same way though. I was running around like my brother was really good in wrestling where I was good at soccer, but I was the same thing. I was running around. We were behind the mats, under the bleachers, and out by the concession stands, getting fat, eating candy, stuff like that.
So I knew you played soccer at a very high level. I didn't understand that you wrestled as well.
I did. I wasn't good. Yeah. I feel like I help coach better. Wow, that's really good. I feel like I help coach better. Obviously with my son it's different, but like I helped with the youth program, and I did coach soccer, so I got kind of the same benefit from it, just watching kids get better, watching the progression.
I think the higher level you play at, the more you realize you don't know. In other sports, in other sports, you're like, oh man, I'm but at a higher level, I can't, I'm not at the same level.
Right.
But I also think that wrestling has a hard time as far as like coaching wise, it's like, esoteric's the word.
Yeah.
So it's passed down just by word of mouth and by being around people, but there's no way like, to communicate at a larger level, where I think soccer does a much better job at that.
Yeah.
Probably because it's the most popular sport in the world. Therefore there's probably the most people coaching it in the world. So they've done a good job at systematizing probably better.
Yeah. And I would, again, like you said, it's a larger sport, so, I mean, things to me, things are progressing. I guess I can only really speak for in the state because we now have guys like you and Ben and these guys that are collegiate wrestlers that have the knowledge, that have the what a coach is bringing in a college room, but they're able to break it down so kids can work, and learn and grow from it. And I think that's where we really are starting to grow as a state itself. And it, like I said, it's benefit to have you guys around for sure. Yeah. So as coming up, you were a child wrestler. Did you play other sports as a kid as well?
Oh, yeah.
You did. Okay.
Yeah.
So what else did you play?
I did a lot of everything.
Oh, did you? Okay.
So I played soccer when I was younger, and I really, I remember enjoying it, but I remember like really being excited to switch over to football because I like smashing people.
Yeah, of course, makes sense.
It was just like a lot of fun. I mean, it's like whatever. We had a really good group of like neighborhood kids.
Nice. Yeah.
When I say, I mean like just like a community. So it's like every single day after school would be like we're meeting over at the Marquette's house, and we're playing, it's like hockey, like street hockey. We're playing football, we're playing baseball, wiffle ball, whatever. It's like we were always playing something, and so but anyway, so like I enjoyed that, like when I was younger, like playing like we played competitively football. But like I did a little bit of swimming, I did a little bit of tennis, like as far as like things like I dabbled in. But then like I actually like competitively played soccer, baseball. I was on a travel team until like fifth grade, until it interfered with Ben's wrestling, and then my wrestling as well with freestyle. So then I stopped doing that, and then the last sport to go was football. My freshman year I went out for the team, and I was there during like preseason. And every single day I would get done like just in time and be home just in time to see my brother and Coach Messenbrink getting done like wrestling. And I couldn't help thinking to myself, like, God damn it, like I don't want to do this. So I had a conversation with my coach. I said, I appreciate I appreciate everything. Like thanks for the opportunity. I played, it's like the coach, I played, football with his son since I was in fifth grade.
Oh, okay.
So it's like we had a pretty good relationship.
Pretty close,
it's like but it was like my heart's not here, and so it's like there's nothing you can do to change my mind. But he handled it gracefully, which was nice.
Definitely. Because I mean, I think I was just talking to someone else the other day about the friction sometimes between just coaches in general, but obviously wrestling and football, because that one transitions into the other. One thinks one's better. It is what it is. But
yeah.
So
I just think different people have different interests, and
totally. And it, like you said, it was nice that it was able to kind of be a smooth transition as far as, hey, I can't do this anymore. Awesome. And I would assume they supported you. Did they come to wrestling stuff? Did they come watch you? Did they?
Kind of, not really.
No.
I mean, not a big deal. But I mean, so all the best football players were wrestlers, so they were all like, a lot of them were my best friends, But and they were wrestling with me, but this one in particular didn't. But I don't think it was because he held any ill will. It was just because nobody came to watch wrestling. You know,
Oh,
like you have 10 people in the stands.
Yeah.
You know? It's not like Arrowhead wasn't like Kakona, you know. I mean, and so it got bigger as later on in our career. But
yeah.
I mean, my freshman year, it was like 8 or 9 freshmen starting.
Oh, okay.
Just because we had no other wrestlers.
Yeah. Right on.
So it was like our Arrowhead was terrible. I mean, we couldn't fill a lineup, so that's why we had 8 or 9 freshmen in the lineup.
So that's again when I ended soccer probably when I think it was 24, 25. Right. And then I kind of shut sports off, and then I had no clue what was going on wrestling wise, because I had shut everything off once I was kind of done with sports. I was working and stuff like that, but then
you shut it off and were you in Wisconsin or where were you at?
Well, I lived down in Georgia for a couple of years. I was training dogs down there. I really got into bird hunting because I hated deer hunting because I got sick of ADD. You know, you're like,
too cold.
Yeah, right.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
Well, that and plus, I mean, I'm sitting in the cold and I'm seeing nothing, but I'm seeing geese fly over all day, all day long. So I'm like, what? I'm missing out on meat here. I gotta, So I got out of the deer stand and went to the duck stand, but came back. And that was, I would say 2002-ish, something like that. And then it was like a year later, I wound up having Bryce, my oldest son, and refound wrestling just because I didn't like the direction soccer was going in the state. I didn't like the
was that the point in time where the academies were taken over?
Yes, a lot.
ODP seemed to wane and the academies took over.
Yep. So it was down in Milwaukee. It was a little Milwaukee had a little more background with it, so they were a little more structured as far as how they had it, and it actually ran smoothly. They came up in the Fox Valley and tried to do it, and it didn't work that well because everybody had been so used to OISC, your little club stuff, and then they brought this. Now you got to have. What was it called? And I wouldn't do it because of this, because they had coaches. They called them master coaches that would come on the field to show you drills. I got this big binder of drills to show kids, and it was overcomplicated. Yeah, it was over explaining things, and that's kind of this area wasn't used to that. Milwaukee was, so this area wasn't used to that, and they really just needed to break it down. Now we're playing, they break it down to 4-on-4 with no goalie, and no goal. So they're trying to create passing, but now these kids are little. When they grow up, they're not used to a big field, so that it was weird. And I was like, I'm not, and I didn't hate it. I hate it. I just didn't want to deal with that. So now things have gotten better. It took time. I wasn't in the frame of mind. You grow a little, right? You get a little better as you get older, but with you, so you zeroed down to wrestling by your freshman year of high school?
Ninth grade year, yeah.
Okay, so you zeroed down to wrestling. What was your hardest match in high school? The hardest one.
I lost a lot of matches in high school. I'm trying to think of one where I got whipped really, really bad. I don't know.
That's
a good question.
Huh? I lost a lot in high school too.
Yeah, I lost a good bit in high school. I mean, I lost a good bit, at each level.
Yeah.
But, I can't really remember getting throttled too bad in high school. I can't remember getting a whole lot going against Roger Kish like when I was a junior in high school.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like he didn't pummel me. Like I would say at the senior level, like I got pummeled by Cormier. That dude throttled me.
But that size difference, man.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I was hardly 200, and dude was cutting down from 240.
240.
And, stepping on the scale. It was the night before weigh-ins too, and he was still freaking hurting from cutting weight.
Oh my god.
But no, I mean, I wrestled Brandville. Brandville was a beast. I wrestled him in high school, but I wrestled some really good guys. I wrestled Eddie Blumenthal, who was really good.
Okay. Yep.
Out of the Stoughton area. Actually, a guy named Petfalski was, he probably, beat me the worst. No, not the worst, but he beat me pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty solidly, I would say. So maybe him. I don't know, but I mean, it wasn't anything flashy. I was a freshman. Again, I was a freshman. The state qualifiers at 152. I beat both of them.
Oh, okay.
And I dropped to 140 to have Petfalski, who is I think he was number 2, but he ended up beating Brad Becker at sectionals.
Yeah.
And then I had Brad Becker and Petfalski, and I lost to Becker. I think I lost to Brad who's, you know, so both those guys are seniors, but I lost him like 9-10 or 11-9.
Damn.
You know, at sectionals, like one of the first matches, and that was it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Right on. So, I mean, do you ever find that, because I know you had some struggles in college, you know, as far as any kind of just the mental side, you know, things that you had going on, but did you ever encounter that early on? I mean, did you know, like, oh man, really. I don't know if this is it or.
No, not really. And then even after, you know, it's like, I would say there was a period where it's like, I struggled, you know, in college. You know, but after that, then, you know, I didn't. So it was really like college really kind of brought it up, you know, it's like not understanding how to cope with, other people's expectations.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and I don't really think I had any, I mean, like, and you know, not blaming anyone or anything like that.
Right.
But like,
right.
You know, it's like, I don't know if my coaches really prepared me to, like, you know, it's like, hey, like, you know, they never had anyone that, like, I mean, I was undefeated as a freshman pretty much. You know, it's like, I got defensive fouled, you know, it's like our last dual meet of the year, I beat the hell out of everyone.
Yeah.
You know, at Big 12s then, including the guy that, you know, defensive fouled me.
Yeah.
And then was ranked number 1 in the country. But it's like, we had like, there was no media at all.
Yeah.
You know, at that point, Flow wasn't anything. You were never getting interviewed. And like, you know, it's like I was getting interviewed by every paper. I was on ESPNU. I was, you know, it's like we had like a special on Ben and I.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like I just didn't have the skills to kind of to understand that. You know, it's like you know, other people's expectations. Other people's expectations. Sorry.
Ooh, that's a big boy.
But
big girl.
I got some big boy and big girl.
Nice.
Yeah. But no, but I just, you know, it's like other people's expectations don't govern really like what your experience should be.
Yeah.
And at that point it was almost like it was like too overwhelming that like other people's expectations, like I always had those expectations, but for me it was just stepping on the mat and competing as hard as I could. And
yeah,
it didn't matter if I won or lost because I was going to get better. And so it's like, I've always been really pretty good at playing the long game.
Yeah.
Which is, all right, I lose now, I'll lose tomorrow, I'll lose the next day, I'll lose the next day. But every time I believe I can accrue more information than the other person, I'll make adjustments faster.
Yeah.
Therefore, the longer I play the game, the better it is for me.
So that, again, that's the benefit of having you guys around. I mean, because you guys have seen the struggles that takes, you know, and been through those struggles, the mental side. I mean, you hear mental, you know, toughness all the time, and you can hear guys that maybe know what they're talking about, but knowing that a guy actually went through it it makes it a little more palpable for a parent to be like, hey, this dude knows, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's like, I think it, you know, again, like all the struggles that people have as athletes, and, you know, it's like they can turn around and use that as experience later on.
Yeah.
But I think it's just having a healthy perspective. There's some people that, you know, losses or setbacks really eat them up.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, and I think I've got a pretty healthy perspective on it.
Yeah.
You know, yeah,
I think
sunrise tomorrow. I'm probably going to do the same thing regardless. So let's just keep going. And I think like you were talking about expectations. I think a lot of times, and like you said, there wasn't social media back then. There wasn't, no, you know, the craziness that we have now. So and you still, I mean, you're still pretty to yourself too, though. I mean, you haven't changed, you know, as far as your personality. You were, and so let's just put it this way. When I search Max Askren, correct? in Google, there's some of your wrestling videos, and that's it. Yeah.
You know, and so to me, as far as with having success, and it's hard for kids to not want to be out there and to be able to have an example, like, I mean, Liam, for example, I mean, I'm sure whatever I've stepped away because like we've explained before, we're at a point with him that I don't know. I don't, you know, so I'm not going to pretend to. When I'm in the corner and I do have to coach him, it's literally motivational. It's maybe some of the basic stuff I remember from when he was a kid. It's nothing advanced like you guys know or the struggles. So he wants to do as best as he can, whether I'm in the corner or someone else is in the corner. But then with social media, you got all these, you know, everybody wants to be the best because they see either their buddy or they see, you know, a guy that they really admire doing even better. And then they question themselves. When you get to a certain point as an athlete, and I can kind of attest this because, again, I didn't get to a level, you know, as far as like what you guys did. I did play nationally, things like that. I did play semi-pro, but it wasn't starstruck. But the level of pressure and expectation that a kid already has on himself is pretty heavy. Most kids are out to it, and like I tell Liam about this all the time. My senior year, I was trying to, my grades were terrible. So I don't know why I was really trying to enforce this so much, but I wasn't going to college, and I would yell at these guys that were just trying to play to have something on their college resume when they filled it out. I want to win. If you're not here to win, don't show up. Stay in the locker room, help a trainer. I don't care. That kind of thing. And that's, but at the same time, we didn't have the expectations of all this other stuff. There's a lot. I mean, you were just probably, I think around your time, 2010, 2011, Facebook was just kind of starting to get big, I think, wasn't it?
It literally, you could only, when I first went to college, you could literally only get on there, and certain colleges could do it.
It was at that point.
A year or two.
Okay.
So it's like you had to have an email from the University of Missouri, and Missouri had to okay that, it's like, hey, we can do this. And then it went like a year later with the high schools, and then it was the Wild West.
Yeah. Wild West is correct. That is correct.
Yeah.
So with the pressures,
but just going back to that, though, I was saying, it's like, and I guess this is a question, for you, because you have a child that's of that age, but it's like, even if you want to say it's like, well, everyone's got social media, you would still say that pressure, from seeing other people do well or not is self-imposed. You don't have to be on social media. You don't have to talk to other, it's like, so those things are self-imposed. True. And it's the same thing with just, it's like, I never go on forums. I never look at rankings. It's like when I was a competitor, I never did that.
Yep.
I'm not going to do that. If there was, it's like rankings of coaches in the U.S., guess what? I'm not going to look at that either.
Right.
Because it doesn't affect what I'm going to do on the day to day. And it's like I'm always trying to find ways to get better.
Yeah.
But somebody, it's like ranking somebody arbitrarily, it's like doesn't change what I'm going to do, and it doesn't really make me more or less important.
Do you think
it's like? But so I think for children, though, it's like that's kind of one of the things. It's like I feel like it's like there was nothing before to prepare me for what was to come,
right?
And nobody then talked to me about that novelty.
Mm-hmm.
But like I feel like now it's a known commodity, and god dang, I feel like there's so much. Like I pay attention to wrestling really well.
Yeah,
and I don't know how people have enough time to like be up on all these other things, and I'm like, how do you guys do it? So it's like it's all white nice. So it's like they're paying attention to the things that put pressure on them.
Right.
That's self-imposed, in my opinion. And I'm not saying it's easy to not do it, but I think it's like learning that lesson, at a younger age is probably easier because you've been around it since a younger age.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Maybe we're inept at our age. We're inept at trying to communicate that. But.
Right. And that's the thing too, is like, I always tell Zach and Teague and those guys, anybody that does rankings, like I don't know. I don't even know who half these guys are. Honestly, like even the guys that Liam's going to wind up wrestling this year, I think I know two of them. That's it.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic because, it's going to be great to see new guys and new challenges for him. But these kids still watch that stuff. They either hear it from their buddy. Not. Hey, did you see?
They should have. Yeah. So I always tell people, it's like, hey, like, you're going to Disney. It's like, always be polite, but in one ear out the other ear or not. It's like, hey, like, are you going to be at so-and-so this weekend? That was like the worst thing that ever happened. It's like, like people like saying stuff like that. It's like, I don't know. We'll find out,
Yep.
But learning that skill to like, be polite, but not give it any value.
So that's what's cool about you is you're in the background as intentionally, I think, because you enjoy the coaching side. You like coaching. You enjoy the results, just kind of like you probably enjoyed your own results. Yeah. But you are there for one reason, and you have that focus, and that's, you have a great room. Josh has a great, I haven't been to every single one, but you have a great room. Yeah. Josh has a great room. Ben has a great room. So you guys really have a great balance as far as how you run a room. And I'm not going to get into philosophy yet, but do you find that being as part of things that you didn't have as a wrestler coming up, or is it things that you found that you benefited you that you didn't have, kind of thing? You know what I'm saying?
Can you clarify that question?
So the philosophy.
I guess I didn't get the difference.
The philosophy, yeah. Well, I guess the way I'm, maybe I word it differently. So what I'm getting at is that do you guys find that what you do in the room now is a reflection of what you didn't have coming up in wrestling, or were they things that you found that you enjoyed but didn't have, and just now you're implementing it?
Both.
Okay.
I think both. I mean, both Ben and I think, and so, and so Ringers will love this. So Ben went to Ringers. I mean, I went to Ringers for a year or two I think, when I was younger.
Yeah.
But then by my 8th grade year, I went to Advance, and I went to Advance until after my junior year.
With Brad, yeah.
Ben went there, I think, till he graduated, but so, I mean, it's like there was college wrestlers there. I don't think they were really good. I don't know, but I mean, like, I don't even know if they're NCAA qualifiers or anything like that. But relative to where we were at, they knew a lot more.
Yeah.
But then we went to Advance, who was coached by Troy Steiner.
Yep.
And so me and Troy really connected in that sense. And I mean, that's pretty much the only place I went after my, 8th grade year and on.
Right.
Until he went and took the assistant job at Iowa.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
But so we had those guys, but then we also had Coach Messenbrink, who came from a really, really strong program in St. Louis and wrestled at Drake University at Division I level, and was a 2-time NCAA qualifier. And so
had no idea.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like so we had a really, I mean, like he was really, really good. So Messenbrink. Yeah. I mean, he went to all the clubs. He went to all the freestyle stuff. He bought videos all the time to like watch and learn from different coaches.
Take it in, yeah.
Because his coach when he was in high school was just like take down, cut him, take down, cut him, take down, cut him. They had grueling practice. I mean, we had 2-hour grind matches every single day. Every single day. It was a 3-hour practice. We'd get in there. We'd start at 3 o'clock. We'd end at 6 o'clock. In my freshman year, if Ben was wrestling Coach Messenbrink, it ended when Messenbrink got the last takedown. So we'd be looking over the clock, and you'd be kind of like going over to where the one clock was, and it's 6:15.
Yeah.
God damn it, Ben. But it's like, but so it's like it was a grueling practice. But he took what he knew. And then he also built a lot of technique on top of it. And I think, it's like as he aged, he got away from that.
Yep.
It was still tough. We were, it's like still the best, team in shape and stuff like that. But like he got a lot better. And I think he kind of learned with us too, because we would go to the Olympic Training Center and we'd come home and we'd be showing him stuff. And,
oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So he was great. I mean, Messenbrink is terrific. I mean, he's still He's a great coach.
Still doing good. I mean, I hear nothing but good things still about him. So that's all. I had no idea about Messenbrink as far as the level that he came from. So you guys were already coming from.
So you
had a gold mine of knowledge.
We're super fortunate.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Super fortunate, and then University of Missouri, and so I mean, so we took a lot of things that we learned. Yeah. It's like, and we had kind of been exposed to, and I think so it's like we sparred a lot at my house wrestling. We never sparred in like practice, like for high school.
Okay.
Never in club, never really at Missouri. We didn't really spar. I mean, like
really
me and Ben did, but we never really called it that. It's like, we would be hanging out,
just rolling around,
having a conversation. It's like wrestling, but it was like, we weren't, I don't know, it's kind of like an understanding. We weren't going like full live.
Right. But
we would just match each other, and so we didn't really have a name for it. And even now, it's like hard to explain, because anytime you say sparring, everyone thinks they know what you're talking about. Yeah, well, I'm talking about even wrestling wise. I mean, like it's like if I said sparring or not, and you're like, yeah, like I know what sparring is. Like I've been around wrestling and have heard the name.
Yeah.
But like even when I was like 2013 is the last time I was in like really kind of wrestling competitively.
Yeah.
And like ish. But we were over in Yakutia in Russia.
Oh, okay.
And like all the Americans, and like this is like really high level, like senior level guys, thought they knew how to spar, and there was like 4 fist fights in the span of like a week. Because the foreigners don't spar how we spar,
right?
Like, there's like an agreement to not try and get the other guy tired. You're not trying to pull on his head.
Yep.
But so then our guys would they'd play around, but the other guy would never let him win because it's not playing around, it's sparring.
Yeah, it's sparring. Yeah.
And then they would get mad that the other guy wasn't letting them win, and so then they would try and start wrestling live and pulling on the guy's head, and then that guy would get pissed, and it was just.
I call it discovery mode.
Yeah, but I mean, but it like kind of is, but it's kind of like, I don't know, it's so hard to explain. Like, and even now, like, I still have a hard time verbalizing it. Yeah, because it's like, yeah, it's kind of discovery mode, but like, I'm not trying to let you win.
Right.
I'm trying to beat you in every single position.
Right.
But
I'm not going.
If you outposition me, then you win.
Yeah, right. So we just keep going.
And I'm not gonna like start going live to do it, but I think a lot of people just like they just start.
I think it's a benefit.
You know,
it's been. I think it's helped
rolling
Liam
around.
Yeah, it's helped Liam. I mean, it doesn't. You know, you don't. I think if they understand that the pressure is not there, it's just the pressure is just there to like improve. You know, just to improve your positions, like you said, and not necessarily.
I also
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Oh no, I was. Yeah, all good. I guess I was going to say, it's a skill like everything else.
Yep.
You know, your double leg, you know, when you're 5 years old, you still know a double leg. It's just not as good as when you're 18.
Yeah,
you know,
you're right.
So it's like sparring is a skill, and so it's like as they get older, they kind of get better at it.
They figure it out, yeah. So when you
hopefully
when you like I said, you really do like to you kind of take the. I see you as a role, like you really enjoy the coaching part, like I said. So when you were in, I don't know, high school going into college and you understood what a coach's role was, I would assume, did you find yourself trying to, I don't know, figure out it all, like what you were trying to do as just a wrestler once you got to college? Because like you said, there was kind of a mental struggle. Did that start right away? Was it more into your sophomore year? That you really started, because I heard someone mention, and this is when I was watching your finals match against Kirk. Someone mentioned that you had a lot of doubts when it came to being at the NCAA tournament. Like you really doubted I can't remember the exact word that he said, if it was doubted or whatever, but it seemed like you weren't on a mental track with yourself where you had this discovery. I mean, obviously you dominated going through that tournament. It was a great tournament. You know, I think whoever it was obviously wasn't somebody that was close, right?
No, but I think a lot of it, you know, it's like, so NCAA tournaments were really bad. I mean, I had a bad habit of making certain tournaments more than they were.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
You know, and just seeing them for what they were, which is just another competition, no matter, you know, it's like what the name of it is.
Yeah.
I competed against all the same guys every single year, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, but you know, it's like certain ones I'd let build up more. And so again, I think, you know, it's like maybe my level of introspection wasn't at that, you know, it's like at the level at that point.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, I think had I think one of my struggles, you know, was, you know, probably not having a coach. And so no offense to anyone, but a coach that I really connected with, as far as like, trusted, knew I had my back, could communicate me with where I was.
Yep.
You know, it's like Smith was the head coach. You know, and I had other coaches that, you know, it's like wanted me to kind of be where they were, but but weren't willing to come and get me where I was.
Yeah.
To help bring me to that level.
I've been there. Yep.
You know, and so I think that's what a lot of coaches do. It's like, hey, like, you know, it's like, you need to be here, and it's like, but I'm not. I'm over here. So like, help me get on your page. I don't care how it is.
Bring me along.
Like,
yeah.
You bring me along, you know? And so it's like, so I didn't have anyone like that. And I think Ben probably would have been great for me.
Yeah.
Had I been had I had a different relationship with him.
Yep.
We've always kind of been like a contentious relationship.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And not like as far as, you know, it's like, I think it was a really healthy relationship and good relationship.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's the little brother in me. It was always like, you know, it's like, hey, get out of here. Like, I'm going to do it my own way.
I'm doing this.
Like, oh, you did it that way? Well, I'm going to do it this way just to prove to you I can do it. Kind of thing.
Yep.
And
been
so
there.
I think had I been better, you know, it's like about that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think it would have gone a lot better for me. You know, I think I really needed that. And I mean,
that's kind of where I faltered, like with national teams and stuff. I really had a hard time with the coaches because there was such a wide range at that point as far as you could get the angry German type dude to the, you know, the really nice Italian guy or whatever that was coaching. Just the personality as far as that goes. But that's kind of, I think it was, I think I was 18 when I stopped playing national teams, and I was way better than my brother at soccer. Way better, but he was way better than me at wrestling. But he's always, like you said, he's always, hey, you do the no, I'm not. No, that's you do your thing over there. I'm doing mine because I'm better, and that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But with coaches, I think I ran into the same kind of thing like you said. It was just you knew that you had the ability and you had the drive. It's just you weren't at a certain point that a coach expected you to, and they weren't willing to. I guess not even willing, but maybe recognizing that you wanted to be brought along and you wanted someone to kind of.
I just think that's the way that, I really think that's one of the, it's like you go to Foreigners or not, and they'll have one coach their whole life.
Yeah.
Well, figuring out how somebody ticks and connecting it with them, and then, it's like helping them pass those hurdles. If you don't really know somebody, it's like people will come to me and try and do, it's like they'll like message me to try and do private lessons. Like, I'm not doing private lessons with you. One, I don't have enough time because I have too many guys like of my own here that I have to work with.
Yeah.
It's like, and so I need the mental energy to make sure that I can, do that well.
Yeah.
But two, it's like, I don't know anything about you. Yeah. I don't know your baseline technique. I have no idea what you do.
Yep.
And so for me, I can show you moves.
Sure. Yeah.
But is that really going to help you?
Yeah. You're looking for the full scope.
Like, well, I just think when it's like when it really comes down to it at a high level, it's like, it's the right techniques, that are going to do it. It's the right, like the right communication as far as like a coach of what the kid needs to hear.
Yeah.
And if you don't know somebody, you can be saying stuff that like is really detrimental to somebody.
Sure.
And that's why, like, I think it's really, really important to have like one, it's like one coach or one system of, it's like coaching or not, where it's like guys are on the same page and they communicate. Because otherwise you're getting two different messages. And a lot of times younger kids lean to whoever is giving them the easier message, or whoever is giving them the nice message.
Yep. What they want to hear.
You're the best.
Yeah.
You're the best. You're the best.
Right.
When really they need to be told they're being a Sally and they need to start working harder.
Yes.
Because you work hard when you're wrestling live, but not when you're drilling. Or you keep doing this move and grabbing a partner that you can do it on, as opposed to grabbing somebody that's like your size, your skill level, that'll challenge you.
Yep.
And so those conversations are the harder ones to have, but you really have to trust somebody to be able to it's like take that. Yeah, exactly. To take that, whereas if you've never had one coach, you're just like, man, they're really a buzzkill or whatever. And it's like, well, I'm trying to do the thing that's best for you. It's just.
And that was the thing with like, even like as a parent / coach type thing. I don't, and again, like I said, I knew the level that I'm not at, and I chose not to go that direction. But at the same time though, too, I'm still trying to take it all in because it's valuable. And I think a lot of parents miss that, I think, direction, because sometimes they think that because they spent since they were 5 and now the kid's 10, that they know everything. You don't. You don't. Trust me, you don't. And please don't pretend that you do, because you don't. And that's why it's nice, again. And I'll reiterate, it's not just you guys. We have.
There's a lot of good clubs in the state right now.
There are a lot, and it's perfect. And I think it's also starting to show through into the high school rooms too. And
yes, I think a lot of high school coaches are embracing it, which is great. And I think that means that club coaches are doing it the right way.
Yeah,
I think it should be a positive relationship. They both care about having the kids do as best they can.
Yep.
Why? What's the disagreement?
Yeah, right. And I totally agree. Obviously everybody has their opinions about things, and you may like one person or not like another person for whatever.
You may just connect with somebody.
Right. Exactly. And that's kind of the biggest thing, I think, especially with the wrestling community itself in this state. And that's the only one I can speak of, because it's really the only one I lived in with wrestling, is that a lot of people now are getting on board with the stepping back a little more and letting the coaching do it, because we do have the level of coaches we have now. So I think, coming up even as a young guy my age,
that doesn't matter.
What's that?
I said that doesn't matter. And I'm just speaking. All right.
Yeah.
I semi agree with you, but like, all right, well then take Jersey and Pennsylvania and Ohio for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Why are those parents so overbearing and they jump clubs all the time when they have amazing coaching?
True.
They have some of the best clubs in the country with some of the best guys in the country coaching them.
True.
And they're jumping from one club to the next club to the next club.
It's a personality thing.
So I was telling, I forgot who I was telling this. I was telling somebody.
Yeah.
It was one of the college guys that I was like talking about coaching. It's like, yeah, you can. And he was talking to somebody about open up in Jersey. He's like, yeah, you can open up in Jersey. But the problem is Jersey already has its culture.
Yeah. Yep.
Part of the best thing about,
Yep.
Ben and we fought it for a decade,
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like now that guys have gone through it and they have a lot of success, a lot of the parents see what the other parents did and they do it.
Yep. So
but
I can attest
went to a culture where all the parents were overbearing and all the kids that were the best kids, their parents were overbearing. It would tell you that that's probably what you should do too.
Sure. Well, so here's how I call it an evolution. We evolved. I mean, obviously my opinions I've had of people in the past, and you grow and you understand people more and you understand coaching more and just the sport itself. We brought Liam out of a room that wasn't going to grow past what he was, period.
Yeah.
And other people may advance in that type of environment, whatever it was. But we felt the move that we were doing was more or less based off of knowledge, experience, and not for lack of a better term, but young, the kids can relate more to a guy who is closer to their age than a guy who's 40 or 50 that really doesn't have any kind of a background, but he still knows wrestling kind of thing. So we were bringing it to an age where that it translated better to Liam. As far as he goes, everybody leaves for a club for their own reason, and that's up to them, and they can do what they want to do, and that's awesome. I think that a lot of it does have to do with culture, though. I think a lot of it has to do with not being fake. I think a lot of people can pretend to do things that they think that they're good at, which they're slightly good at, but they're not great at, and they can't be selling that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Whereas you guys have the knowledge, and you got let's say Cade Sarbachers, and those guys have the knowledge. They've been, into college rooms and things like that. And I think talking to a guy a while back, and that's kind of what I noticed more of the guys that were coaching either club or high school, that were, kind of a more recent in the game, unless they've been a coach in college, the masterful coaches that are around, these guys know, and that's, again, I'll reiterate that's why the state has been getting better, because not only are the coaches younger and they know the room better, we also have coaches that are willing to evolve. They're willing to see the things. And, like you talked about the culture out in New Jersey, and, there are crazy parents, in just about every state, which we see them.
Yeah, there it's almost the norm.
It's you're right. It's kind of ingrained into their DNA.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's fun to watch, it's fun to watch crazy parents that are positive, crazy, things like that. But no, were your parents crazy?
No. Extremely supportive.
Pretty chill.
No, they kind of hands off.
Yeah.
I mean, they put us around good people, and after they put us around good people, it was like, all right. And it's like my dad. Actually, what's interesting, my dad would never talk to us about stuff. And granted, like, me and Ben are incredibly contrarian.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yep.
I think Ben would self-ascribe to a contrarian.
Sure.
Which we get probably from my dad.
Okay. Yep.
But it's like we weren't gonna. I mean, dude, I was in 7th, 8th grade. I would tell him he's full of crap.
I appreciate that.
He was really good. It's like he's like, all right, well, I still need to like make sure that's like, because he knew us really well as far as mentally. So he would run it past Messenbrink.
Okay.
And, and he wouldn't check in. He wouldn't like make sure Messenbrink had the talk, but he would like every once in a while he'd say stuff. And if it was something that Messenbrink was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like he would have a conversation with us, I think. And there's a lot of times where Messenbrink is like, nah, maybe not. It was great because it's like, I talked to, and that's one of the reasons like I do really value parents, because they know their kids better than you do. They're around their kids more than you do. So it's like if they really have some insight, it's like they can provide some great help. But at the same time too, there's an age where kids stop listening to their parents, and so if you have that relationship with them, then you get to have that conversation.
It's funny. I just brought that up to. I just talked to Machek about something with Liam, and because I don't want to do it anymore. It's not, it's really, because it's not my journey anymore. It's his, it's Liam's. And I think the people who are going to mold him a little bit better now are going to be his coaches. So that's kind of, like you said, I don't lay it on their shoulders. I'm still a parent, but when it comes to this sport thing, the balance, and they see him every day, they see kind of how he's doing every day, especially in the practice room. I'll tell Josh the same thing. Hey, I'm noticing this. Should I do anything? No, you're good. I'm like, okay. We'll leave it alone, and that's the best part. And Machek is a knowledgeable coach, and he's not like a 20-year-old guy who's out of college. But again, one of those coaches, that you can throw that information and know that they're going to handle it a way that an athlete wrestler needs to be able to handle it. So and I don't know that. So I just leave it.
Yeah.
I leave it alone. I think, I don't know. I think it's huge that this state has been making the jumps that it has. Have you noticed the jumps? Obviously you guys notice numbers in your club. How long have you guys been around? 8 years? I just watched. I just watched Ben.
So I opened up in New York in 2010.
Okay.
And then we opened up 2011.
Okay.
Say here
because
it's 2011. So it's 12 years now.
12. Okay. That was a little. 12, I wasn't too far
years,
off.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's not too far off.
And for some reason, I got 2020 stuck in my head.
Though,
it is a long time, and you guys have seen some pretty good success coming out of the state so far. I mean, you got Mitchell Messenbrink, you got Keegan O'Toole, you've got Parker Keckheisen, you got. I mean, I can go down the list, and we'd be here for an hour.
Yeah.
So. I know that there have always been, guys that were really good coming out of the state. And obviously I've talked about this before on the show, but I don't know, the sport in the state itself has evolved. We have changed over the time as a state is wrestling, and it hasn't changed a ton. There's a lot of things that people don't like. They can bark, let them bark, man. It's fine.
Yeah.
But, things that evolved with wrestling itself, do you think there's any more of an evolution that can happen in the sport of wrestling itself?
I mean, I think wrestling will continue to evolve regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the state of Wisconsin still.
Yeah.
It's like if it wants to be perennially at the level it's at, it's going to take more than just clubs.
Yeah.
And so it's like, but I mean, having guys at the collegiate level that are having success. I mean, so it's like, the state of Wisconsin never had more than maybe one All-American, maybe.
It's very true.
And so it's like now it's like at the point where it's like there's a lot of people in the hunt, and even if they're not All-Americans, they're around a 12, around a 16, around a
Yeah.
And so, but I mean, there's quite a few guys there. But so I mean, I think going away from Greco, and I got so much crap when we first started, and it's like we're not doing Greco. It's like, and I mean, hate it all you want, it's like, and there's people, if they want to do Greco at the international level, they should do Greco.
Yep.
But if you want to do college wrestling, Greco doesn't really apply to it at all. And so like Wisconsin is always like, it'd be like, you'd split off and be like the freestyle guys and the Greco guys, and they call you leg grabbers, and you're like, well, real man sport and this and that, and it's like, okay, it's like whatever you want to do, but then like people would delude themselves, and so like I don't want to mention anyone's name, but it's like I remember having a conversation with somebody who wanted to be like a D1 All-American and wrestle and be an NCAA champ and this and that, but it's like they didn't have a leg attack, and it was in 8th grade, and I was like, dude, it's like if you're gonna be a successful collegiate wrestler, you need to like attack the legs, and this is an earnest conversation I have with them, because it's like, I don't know. The saddest thing to me always, is people who are bought in, that put in all the work, but don't get the rewards because they're I don't. And so led astray is probably the wrong word, but led astray.
Yeah. Yep.
You can work all you want, but if you just like, it's like ran into the wall 24/7 in the wrestling room, it wouldn't get you anywhere. And so I think a lot of wrestlers like work hard, but they're not building the skills they need.
Yeah.
And so it's like as there's other clubs where it's like that's how it is. It's like it's like you're going to put in a bunch of work, but you're not going to do very good. And I think if you want to be honest, I think that's a big problem with burnout too. It's like you're trying to, and so
true.
Again, you talked about, so your son's in the transition now from 8th grade to high school, where he's gonna see 4-year gaps.
Yeah, well, that's why we take him out east, because we knew that was gonna happen.
But when you're younger, it's like parents see the year above and the year below.
Yeah,
and that's how they govern how their kid's doing, what their trajectory is, etc. Whereas like, so for instance, like we don't really focus on competition, not even like in grade school.
Yeah.
A lot of our guys don't really turn on until like high school.
Yep.
But that's because we're looking like down the road at what skills they're going to need.
Yep.
And so they're going to lose earlier on. They'll learn how to lose earlier on.
Yeah.
But they're going to build the skills that they need to be successful at the college level.
Yeah.
You can't, then that's like, I've had a conversation with lots of people, but it's like, you can't really do both. I guess you can, but like
there are a couple
not
trying.
Really, there's a lot of people that like want to have success now, but then want to have continued success throughout.
Yeah,
but it takes a long. It takes a lot of energy to invest in a certain skill to be able to develop at a certain level.
Yep.
Well, if I invest in this other skill that's not going to be useful in high school, I don't have the time to invest into that. And then like you're not even talking about the emotional connection you have to like bombing people on their back and getting 5 points in the pin, and you get up and you flex, and your coach is flexing, and your friends are flexing, and it's like, so then that's who you become, and that's what you want to do, because that's like the emotional tie to it is even stronger than the physical, connection of just practice of doing a move over and over and over.
True. Very true. And that was one thing I was going to bring up especially with our last like 10 minutes here. You have a history with wrestling. You have whatever struggles an athlete has. So now what type of philosophy do you specific, not Askren Wrestling, but what type of philosophy do you bring to the room after all of your experiences? I mean, it can't be just as simple as just work hard, because I mean, you're dealing with kids who are, like you said, some are transitioning, and they're probably going to do really well at the high school level coming up from, middle school to high school. But what is your philosophy then to kind of keep a balance, I guess, is it kid to kid? When you see someone having a problem, do you have a philosophy of this is what I do over here? Like, what's your philosophy in the room?
I don't know. That's a good question, but I don't know. It's like almost too broad of a question. I would say I try and keep things individualistic, as far as like try and cater towards, the individual as much as I can.
Yeah.
And making sure that I'm trying to come and bring, bring them with.
Yep.
But I say there's also, so I have general rules that like, it's like, no, there's no headlocks allowed in my room. There's no fireman's carries allowed in my room.
Okay.
100 push-ups for either. I don't care if you do them in competition, but it's like the skill sets that we work on, in the room are the skill sets we work on in the room.
Okay.
And again, like, I don't know, like you could like, I always get the question with new people coming in, and actually Spencer Lee was in the room, so he was giving me crap, but I was like, you give Spencer Lee a single leg or a high crotch, what do you think his finish rate is?
100%.
Damn near, right?
Yep.
If not more. Side live, same thing.
Yep.
All right. So go down the list. All right. Well, give him a normal high school wrestler that only knows a fireman's carry. Give him a single leg and see what his finish rate is.
Right.
Right. And so it's like yes, you can do a fireman's carry at a high level, but I think if you neglect the ability to finish a single leg or a high crotch, then I think which a lot of kids do, because if you have an arm, it makes the finish so much easier.
Sure. Yep. Correct.
But if you shoot in and you shoot in a fireman's carry and I stand up straight, you'll end up with a single leg.
Yeah. That's
You're
it.
gonna lose the arm,
right?
Or you'll keep the arm and you won't be able to grab my leg. One or the other. So it's like, all right, well, you're gonna need to learn how to finish the single leg at a really high level to be competent, like at the collegiate level. And so if you can't do that, then don't cry to me about, it's like not being able to do a fireman's carry, because that's the bigger thing, is like you learn that skill in practice, and whether you hit fireman's carries or not in competition, I don't really care, because you're developing that skill in practice.
Yep.
And I'll make sure that that's done. And so there's certain things like that like, it's like I try and do that. And again, I think they're some are skill set based and some are emotional ties.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I think,
but the kids too.
Like, yeah. Well, I mean, they 100% they do, because it gives them like that really big rush that, it's like, I got taken down 5 times, but I caught him on his back and pinned him with a headlock.
Yep.
But then, it's like, if that's all you have, then it's going to be easy to game plan for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, you're not the first person. It's funny you mentioned that, because it seems to be a common theme. You can get in a shot all day long.
Yeah.
You can get in a fireman's. Can you finish? Because once you get in the college room, that's what I've heard. I mean, it's impossible to finish on these guys.
Really, really hard, And so if you don't have those skill sets, then it's difficult, And again, like the whole headlock thing, and not, and so off the headlock, but even like Greco skills, like the skill sets needed to win at high school, you can be incredibly good. You can be number 1 in the country easy with pretty much no setup.
Yeah.
And no ability to hand fight, right? Or just really good Greco skills.
Yep.
But then you watch those Greco guys go to like college and they really struggle, because
it's
so easy to just close people off and then attack the legs when they're attacking upper body.
Yeah. And because I used to take Liam out to Stelt. So, and strictly because I told Lucas, I said, Liam doesn't like competing in Greco, but I want him to train, so hand fighting, upper body stuff and things like that. And
yeah, but it just doesn't relate. I mean, like, no offense. I mean, it doesn't really relate that well. It has some context, but I mean, like I remember wrestling with Jesse Thilke, who's like incredible.
Yeah.
And he was good in all styles.
Yep.
He's a very phenomenal wrestler. But like, we were playing around like hand fighting, doing like Greco.
Yeah.
But I would start like just kind of like kicking like foot sweeping or stepping on his feet.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how much it messed him up, just because contextually he never had to think about that while he was doing his hand fight.
Right.
So it's like he would have to take the skills he had and like spend some time, and he would be able to apply them, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there like changes things up,
Lucas will do with, especially with like a kid with Liam, what he'll do is he'll translate it to folk style. He'll take it and show, because like Liam would break off and wrestle with the girls in freestyle. So that because I told him, this isn't all Greco for him. This is just about the control and stuff like that. So he would break it down so that way he could say, don't just get stuck doing this. Make sure that you're keeping an eye on this. So because he does, I mean, he's not obviously trying to create this gigantic, conglomerate, but he's trying to steer people towards Greco. But
which I mean, like, I think is probably really important.
Yeah, you're sure. And some guys love it. Some guys, that's what they want to do, and that they don't have the NCAA dream, things like that, But
and I'm glad he's got that outlet. I mean, and I'm glad they have that outlet.
Totally.
Yeah,
totally. Well,
I'm a big advocate of wrestling, and so it's like,
in general,
whether you do Greco or folk style or freestyle, or you want to wrestle year round or wrestle 3 months out of the year, I think the biggest takeaway, it's like, if you want to say like philosophically, is the sport of wrestling will allow you to learn a lot of life lessons.
Yeah.
And so whether you're going to win a state title or not, I mean, and that's one of the reasons, like, you come to your room, I try and help people equally, because the sport of wrestling is great for you regardless of whether you're going to win an NCAA title or not.
Yep.
Because those lessons are really good, especially for young people that have a hard time basing themselves in reality.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong, and so it's like when you get taken down, it's wrong.
That's right. It sucks.
Down, right? It's like, but so for them to have that that immediate feedback, I think, is really important, and for them to be able to see that they're improving is important. And it's like, you do X and you get more, and so you might not ever win a national title, but it's like, if you're progressing, I think that's. It's really, really, really an addicting thing, and I think it's a good addicting.
It is. It is.
But I think that's something that people have a really hard time with right now, as far as like schools that it's like grades are semi-optional, and like, in whatever, maybe
retaking tests and all this other stuff.
Retaking tests, you can turn in your homework
whenever,
all the way till the end of the semester, and you're like,
whenever.
No, there's got to be repercussions, but repercussions are good because it tells you what you're supposed to be doing.
I agree.
And I think that's the hard thing, and so I think people really like that immediate feedback, and I think it's probably difficult at first.
Yeah.
But I think for somebody to be a fully formed human being, for them to see that there are repercussions, but there's also benefits to doing things a certain way, is really important and valuable.
You set a standard. There's got to be more of a standard, and we're losing grip on standards, I think.
Yeah.
Except for standardized testing. We're great. We're except for standardized testing. We're ramping that up, aren't we? Just keep on throwing those tests. Oh man. Liam takes a bunch or whatever it is, but I have no clue. Yeah, I don't either, and I'm glad I don't, because I don't want to learn how to add with squares, triangles, and boxes and all that other stuff. So
I hear you.
But you got a hard out at 10 here, so we are going to let you go. I do appreciate you again being on the show. I hope you come back on. Lots of stuff that's coming up, lots of stuff to talk about in the future. Yeah. You guys are doing great.
Sounds good, Brad.
I appreciate you, man.
Thanks for your time, bud.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you for your time. Have fun.
See you.
Yep, bye. That was Max Askren of the Askren Wrestling Club. Appreciate him being on, and we will talk to you guys soon. Peace. All of our episodes are brought to you by Appleton Tattoo, located at 117 South Appleton Street in Appleton, Wisconsin, right off the main drag on College Avenue. You can't miss them. I've had some work done. I have a Celtic cross that covers my back that was done by Jason. We're not done yet. Jason Winans and crew, the artists that he have there, those guys are the best in the Fox Valley. They are definitely one to go to if it's something that you've just been kind of throwing around. They'll make you feel comfortable. It's a very clean environment, very nice crew, and very willing to get done whatever you need done when you need it done. You can message them on Facebook. I know they're on Facebook. You can give them a call at 920-604-8289 and get in touch with Jason Winans and crew at Appleton Tattoo, located again in Appleton, Wisconsin at 117 South Appleton Street, right in Appleton. Very flexible hours, great crew, clean environment again. I would not send you anywhere else except for these guys. Appleton Tattoo.